Have a listen to this. Have a listen to this.
Interest rates are higher. I know people don't like that, but you should be welcoming the stronger economy.
And maybe a deal has a point about the machinery of capitalism being oiled with the blood of the workers.
The United States is a country that has always paid all of its bills.
Lannister always pays his debts.
Don't let the bastards get you.
Hello and welcome to Comedian versus Economist. My name's Adam and I'm joined as always by my little older brother and real life economist Thomas. Hi Thomas, how you doing?
G'day Adam, how you going?
I'm going very well, thank you. Hey, we'd love it if you recommended us to a friend. So next time someone asks, can you recommend a good avocado tester? You can say no, but I can recommend a cracking economics podcast and tell them about CVE. Thomas, big show coming up. As always, we're looking at charts. If you want to follow along, you'll find them on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at CVE Podcast. But huge show coming up. Most houses in Sydney are now worth over $1 million. Being a millionaire ain't the exclusive club it used to be. And RAMS Home Loans is in trouble, proving the old adage, never borrow money from a sheep. And Google searches in America has seen a spike for how to put up a picture. Is this actually a buy signal for Kodak? But first, Thomas, we're looking into our economic crystal ball again, which should offer us all the certainty of a magic 8-ball. What's it telling us about world banks?
Right. Yeah, just don't know where to go. You just wrong foot me every time with these introductions. It's like a little goose step at the end there. No, the World Bank.
We got some data here about World Bank forecasts. I thought that's what this whole thing would be about.
No, the World Bank.
The World Bank.
Yeah, that economic institution.
I thought there was multiple World Banks. I thought I'm thinking of central banks.
Yeah.
Which there's multiple central banks, but only one World Bank. You'd think there'd only be one central bank and be in the middle.
Yes.
Jeez, economics is confusing.
It is. You guys, for you. Yeah.
All right, well, what's going on at the World Bank?
Well, the World Bank has slashed their forecast for growth this year. So they were forecasting growth of 2.7% in 2025, 6 months ago. They've now dropped that by 0.4 percentage points to 2.3. So that's pretty substantial in 6 months. They've just dropped it for about 70% of countries. Yeah, saying they're looking at the weakest growth outside of a recession since 2008 and the decade average with the lowest pace of growth of any decade since the 1960s.
Does that mean that we're heading towards a recession?
Well, we're on the way, definitely. Directionally, that's true. Yeah.
Well, how much stock do we put in this anyway? Like if the World Bank is they're looking globally, right? So that includes everyone from like some country that's just like in all sorts of trouble, growing at negative 15%, but maybe someone else is killing it. Like there's probably the Nordic countries, Sweden, right?
Yeah.
Growing like through the roof.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what they do. I mean, they work with local economists and central banks and treasuries, and then they just aggregate it all up. So they have country by country level forecasts,
right?
Where they then aggregate up into a global forecast.
Oh, yeah.
So you know how like good the RBA is at forecasting. So they get like, a couple of hundred RBAs together, add all the results together and get their outcome.
Yeah, right.
So take a
got the chief economist of Chad in the room. He's forecasted some troubles ahead.
Yeah, but I think directionally it's interesting. I mean, it's interesting in the sense I wouldn't be hanging my hat on actually hitting 2.3%, but the fact that they've cut by almost half a percentage point in just 6 months, I think speaks to how much the outlook has changed in the 6 months since Trump's been president, and because it's all trade driven. So global trade's down from 3.4% to 1.8%. So in 2025, so that's coming off pretty heavily, and the risks are to the downside. They're saying if anything, we're gonna undershoot this number. So it could actually be weaker.
And so forgive me for not knowing this, but does the World Bank lend money to central banks?
No.
Is that what it does? What's the function of the World Bank?
World Bank is sort of like a development bank, is kind of how you can think about it. Like it's a bit...
It's just a testing ground for banks before they move into production.
That's right. Just do some market testing, get some feedback
Working
on the user
on a
experience.
new bank. Worldbank.ai soon.
Yeah.
Coming soon.
Yeah. Now you can sort of think about the International Monetary Fund as being the central bank of central banks.
Yeah.
And the World Bank being the central treasury of treasuries. Very, very roughly.
It's fair to say I'm going to spend almost no time thinking about either of those things.
Yeah. I knew that.
Right.
That's why I just threw some words at you.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of this we sort of know, but I think it does speak to how quickly the economic outlook is deteriorating. And on top of that, like the other data we got last week was Australian GDP, which also came in pretty weak. So, yeah, up just 0.2%, 1.3% higher over the year. That's pretty ordinary, particularly given that, you know, most of it, almost entirely public spending. So like 1.1 of that 1.3 is the government sector over the year.
Oh, yeah, we covered that before.
Yes. Yes. Sorry.
Is that new data? I mean, it was just telling us the same thing again.
It's the same story. It's the same story.
Great work, banks. So that means more rate cuts though, right?
It does. I've got a big call for you actually.
Oh.
Yeah. RBA next meeting is in July. I reckon we're going to get 0.35%.
0.35?
Yeah.
That's not 0.25 or 0.5.
It's not. No. Well done. Well spotted.
I thought they only dealt in kind of round, you know.
Well, they do. They
quarters
do.
And halves.
Yeah, normally they do. But
what even is 0.35? It's like a third-ish.
Ish. Yeah. Pie. We're going to get a rate cut of pie.
The RBA has announced 3.147 something, whatever the rest is.
Yeah. No, I think the RBA is behind the curve, and they have been for a while. And they talked about a jumbo cut of 50 basis points at the last meeting, and then decided not to. And since then, inflation's in the target band and heading lower. The partials, like the Melbourne Institute, actually looking weaker than that. So it's now looking like they need to defend the bottom of the target band. GDP growth is looking really sick. Like 1.3% is pretty ordinary. It's almost entirely public sector and population growth. Retail spending is dead. The consumer is on its back with its feet in the air. I'm
only laughing. I bought a car yesterday. In fairness, it's a secondhand, cheap car. It's a second, just a runaround little.
Yeah. So everything's looking pretty weak, and the inflationary shock that might have been coming out of tariffs has most of the tariffs seem to be being walked back. It's slower and not as impactful as we thought. So the risks of an inflationary breakout have reduced. So I think that leaves the RBA behind the curve with a bit of catch up to do. I don't think they want to do 50 basis points because that'll look a bit panicky.
That'll look a bit panicky. It'll be pretty normal. It's a nice round 50 basis points. But I wouldn't panic if I saw it. I'd be like, oh, that's cool. It's a bit bigger. If they come out with 0.37, I'm like, that's panicky. That shows you're like neither here nor there. You're just in no man's land in the middle, just guessing at what the rate cut should be, trying to have a bob each way. Yeah.
No. So during COVID, the RBA dropped rates to 0.01. They got out of the round number. Normally it's something 0.25 or 0.5. They got out of that with COVID, and they've never come back to the normal round numbers. Yeah. So I reckon they've now got an opportunity to give us a normal rate cut plus a little bit extra to get us back into round numbers without looking like 50 basis points, which just says, oh, wow, we're actually really behind the curve now.
Yeah.
So I think it gives them a little bit extra without creating panic. That's my hot tip for the July meeting.
Okay. Maybe they could go with like 0.352 just add a little bit of extra nuance in there just to show everyone, look, we're really thinking about this. We've crunched the numbers. We're really leaning into non-round numbers. So we've gone with 0.352. What's the 2 for? We're slightly confident. Slightly confident.
All right. Well, let's see who's right.
All right, Thomas, we're looking at Aussie house prices keep going up in May.
Keep going
They've gone
up.
up again. What's going on?
They have, 0.5% in May. That's a pretty solid result and pretty consistent across the capitals, all are around that 0.5% mark. Perth up 0.7, leading the nation still.
Even they got the memo about ending in 0.5 for the house price growth.
Yes, yeah. And I mean, all this is expected given, the lack of stock on the market and the rate cuts we've had recently. Looking at the daily index, the trend is now pretty solidly upwards. And that could pick up a bit further, particularly given how strong the auction market's been recently.
Well, it's almost certainly going to happen too if they cut interest rates by 0.35.
Yeah.
That's good for house prices, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think we're well clear of the bottom now in the property market, and prices will definitely pick up from here. I can't see them not over the next 12 months.
It didn't feel like we're at the bottom very long.
No, it was a short buying window.
that was a real flash in the pan.
But the other data we got here is the percentage of homes in the nation that are worth more than $1 million.
Yeah.
So it's now almost 42% of homes in the country are worth more than $1 million.
Wow. 42%.
It's pretty crazy. 65% in Sydney. I mean, it's wild when you think about the mortgage requirements on $1 million home. Like we get used to $1 million, but to pay $1 million mortgage is still pretty hectic.
And even just coming up with a deposit, that's what's 10%? You need $100,000 deposit saved.
Yeah.
So like if you're looking to enter the market in Sydney, you need to save $100,000 in cash before you can get into a home. I mean, obviously there's cheaper ones around, but yeah. Wow, that's brutal.
Yeah, but not many. Yeah. And I think it's interesting. So we got new data as well out of Demographer, which shows that all of Australia's capitals are in the top 10 most expensive cities in the world on a median price to median income basis. So if you look at, the median house price versus the median income in each city, all of the capitals are in the top 10. Even Adelaide number 6.
Killing it. It's a beautiful place to be.
Yeah, and on a per church basis, it's even higher.
You can't get a church for under 3 million nowadays.
That's right.
Go on gangbusters.
Yeah, even in Wingfield.
Yeah.
But I think it does talk to how, the most expensive city in the world is Hong Kong, and Sydney is second.
Right.
And there's a few other American cities in there. But it's pretty much...
Why is Hong Kong so expensive? You probably don't know.
I do, thank you. It's a tiny little island.
Right.
There's no land.
You can't grow in no land.
No, yeah. Yeah.
Right.
And it's like Australia, also a tiny little island with no land.
Yeah. Where could you possibly put more houses?
Yeah. No, I think, I mean, it's just worth remembering. People talk about it a lot, but Australia is just very expensive in terms of housing.
Is it sustainable? Like, is it just going to keep? I mean, I guess no one wants it to change, right? Like, I mean, other than people who want to buy a house, but everyone who's in power and everyone who owns a house currently and people that own multiple houses and investment properties, none of them want it to change. So it's no change.
Yeah, no, that's right. And it's unlikely they're saying, given the current dynamics, like there's a shortage of stock on the market, the construction rate relative to population growth is very low. Yeah. Interest rate cuts are coming. It's hard to see it going down. But worth pointing out that Hong Kong, most expensive city in the world, prices have been falling there since COVID.
Well, it's because it's a tiny little island. Everyone's packed in together like sardines. They're like, we've got to get out of here. COVID has taught us that we don't want to be living on top of each other.
Yeah, well, yeah, maybe. Yeah, well, real house prices are now back where they were in 2010. So it can happen. Prices can fall. Like prices, there's no economic law that says prices always go up. house prices always go up. But there's no
Australian law, though.
Australian law. That's right. Yeah, just passed the Senate last week, actually.
House prices can never go down. All right, why don't we grab a quick break here, get a word from this week's sponsor. We'll be back with more CVE right after this. Welcome back. You're on Comedian versus Economist. You can send us an email if you'd like to do that, cve@equitymates.com, or via the website, equitymates.com/CVE. Thomas, a bit of fraudulent behaviour going on.
Allegedly.
Within RAMS, is that right? RAMS home loans?
Well, allegedly, yes.
Allegedly?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, yeah, you can't be just calling out fraud in the media again.
Hey, watch me. Yeah, dodgy RAMS. Up to their old tricks again.
I'd just like to say the views expressed by the comedian do not reflect the views held by the Economist. Anyway, allegedly.
Okay, if they're not committing fraud, what have the swindlers at RAMS been up to?
Yeah, ASIC, they're alleging that there's 84 incidents of systemic misconduct by a number of RAMS franchises in Sydney and Melbourne. And it's probably worth pointing out that RAMS runs, I think everyone knows RAMS for home loans, but they run a franchise model. So I think each individual RAMS is run independently, is how I understand it.
Right.
A bit like a mortgage broker.
So they're not all herded together in like a paddock situation there. Each has its own pen. They're more free range lenders.
Yes, but there's at least 84 black sheep in the herd.
Now who's getting controversial?
Yeah. So ASIC's alleging that the franchises use fake loan documents to arrange financing that would have been rejected otherwise. This is what ASIC Deputy Chair Sarah Court said. RAMS allowed years of unlawful conduct to occur across its franchises, creating the opportunity for loans to be provided to customers who would not have qualified for these loans, and thereby increasing commissions earned by RAMS franchisees.
Right.
Yeah. But the interesting thing is that it's coming for Westpac. So Westpac owns RAMS.
Oh, yeah.
And, looking at potentially Westpac will have to cough up the fine, and that could be as much as 100 million. Analysts seem to think it's going to be worth about 30 million.
Drop in the ocean for big banks.
That's true. That's right.
Let me get my wallet. Right.
Yeah.
I noticed their website, they've stopped accepting new home loan applications. So
Well, this is what Westpac did. Is they bought it, and then rather than selling it, just kind of went like, "Oh, this is just such a mess. We're just going to close it."
Yeah,
so, they could have sold it off, but went like, "Oh." We'd
have to share the books.
Yes, that's right.
We'd have to show potential buyers.
Very loyal customer base, though, I think.
Have they?
Yeah. I don't know. Well, they're helping their customers commit fraud, so builds loyalty.
The tagline was always, "We're here for you."
Was it?
You as in EWE.
Okay.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't that at all. Just made that up because I wanted to shoehorn the "you" pun in there somewhere.
I just think it's kind of funny because this is kind of the mortgage broker business model to an extent. To me, it's like when I went to a mortgage broker for my first mortgage. Yeah. It was really fraud coaching, effectively. Like how to
was it?
Yeah.
You sure you were at a mortgage broker?
Yeah, Fat Tony's Mortgages.
Yeah.
No, not exactly, but there
what
was
do you
coaching.
mean by it was fraud coaching?
Well, I was encouraged to declare less expenses because I'm a small business owner, right?
Yeah. No, we did that.
Yeah, you did that.
We weren't
right?
encouraged, but Anna wore a really big jumper to hide the fact that she was pregnant with our first child, so that we didn't have to declare that she would have no income for a period immediately following us taking on a huge home loan. So,
yeah, but that's what the banks have responsible lending requirements. But they want lots of business. So they couldn't be seen to be coaching people into like how to prepare an application to get approved. So mortgage brokers were created. Right? To help people with that process, to push people into the banking system.
I'm sure we've got mortgage brokers listening that are just like, shut up. I'm not a fraud coach. Oh, well, aren't you? Hey, have a look at what you're up to. Because from where we sit, looks a lot like fraud coaching.
We're just taking swings at everyone today.
Full disclosure, I have no evidence to support any claims I made about RAMS being misconduct, and at the moment all allegations are alleged. And not by me, I'll point out. It's ASIC. They're up to no good again. They're not exactly squeaky clean either, the Australian Securities and Investments Commission. All right, we better get out of there. All right, Thomas, finally on the show, you've got a chart here showing that Americans are seeking more help with adulting or adulting, not sure how you say it, but Google searches for trivial stuff's up. What do we make of this?
Yeah, so a few charts here, 9 charts on some basic adult things, looking at Google trends, so maximum 100, and basically just shows they're all picking up pretty recently. So since 2020, there's sort of been lifts in all of these kind of search queries. So how to do laundry, how to use a washing machine, how to file taxes, how to set up a bank account.
Oh, yeah. Well, that makes sense.
They're pretty reasonable.
Yeah.
But then how to use a mop. Also up a lot.
How to use a mop. Clean up in aisle 3. That's what happened. The announcement came over the supermarket stereo, and it's just like 16-year-old kids going, "What? Clean up in aisle 3? How do I grab the mop? How do you use a mop?"
Yeah, but the thing that really blows my mind is how to use a hammer. Like that's seen a big lift since COVID.
What happened during COVID? The people all of a sudden had more need for a hammer.
It was pretty stable through the 2010s, so not zero.
It was, and then it spiked. We had a pandemic. Everyone went out and bought hammers, and they were like, "Oh, shit! I don't know what to do with it."
You know what that correlates pretty closely with, I bet, is inflation, because there was a COVID spike. It came.
Well, it
off
also
again.
correlates pretty closely with how to put up a picture. That was the first Google search, and then that returned, "You'll need a hammer and some nails."
A what?
A what? Don't forget to do the cleanup at the end. How would I do that? Well, you'll need a mop. Yeah, right.
Yeah,
So you said there's a strong correlation with what?
Inflation, but I can't imagine why. Well, but that hasn't come off, so no, it broke down. The correlation with inflation broke down in the 2024.
How to use a hammer correlation? I cannot think how hammer usage would at all be related to inflation.
I can't.
Or are you just saying like cheap hammers?
Like they're just breaking, and people go, "I must be using this wrong."
Why does my nail keep denting the wood? Oh, wrong way around.
Yeah.
Right.
So I don't know what to make of this. I mean, there's clear upward trends, but
yeah. I mean, there's the old saying, when the only tool you've got to hammer, you better Google how to use a hammer.
I actually Googled it just I was curious to see what it would come up with, and
Oh.
about 50 YouTube tutorials.
Yeah. You know what's interesting is from 2010, like when this chart started, right? So every chart has some spikes, right? Has some data. But if you look at how to use a mop, at the very start of the chart was just flatlined for like 5 years, 2 years.
2 years, yeah.
2 years, nobody was asking how to use a mop. And then wham, all of a sudden, people were like, what are these mops? What do we do with them? How do you use one? Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, maybe there's some problems with the data, but trend's interesting.
It is. Well, they're all trending in the same direction, aren't they? Yeah. I mean, what would you do if, like, could you use, this is like a challenge for MacGyver, where like MacGyver's tasked with filing taxes, setting up a bank account and doing some laundry. And he's only got a mop, a hammer and a credit card to be able to do it. So it's, AI will fix all this anyway. ChatGPT can answer all these questions and more.
Yes, yeah.
All right. On that note, why don't you send us some other trivial questions? If you're struggling with hammer usage or how to use a mop, then let us know. You'd be pretty handy with a hammer and a mop, Thomas, wouldn't you?
Yeah. All over it.
Can put up a picture. All right, yeah, do that. Let us know what you're struggling with and we'll send you a picture of us to put up. Probably won't. All right, that does it for this week on CVE. Thank you so much for tuning in. We really appreciate it. Make sure you like and subscribe wherever you get this podcast. Until next time on Comedian versus Economist, it's bye for now.
Comedian vs. Economist is a product of Equity Mates Media. All information in this podcast is for education and entertainment purposes only. It is not intended as a substitute for professional finance, legal, or tax advice. The hosts of Comedian vs. Economist are not financial professionals and are not aware of your personal financial circumstances. Before making any financial decisions, you should read the product disclosure statement and, if necessary, consult a licensed financial professional. Do not take financial advice from a podcast. For more information, head to the disclaimer page on the Equity Mates website where you can find ASIC resources and find a registered financial professional near you. In the spirit of reconciliation, Equity Mates Media and the hosts of Comedian vs. Economist acknowledge the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and their connections to land, sea and community. We pay our respects to their elders past and present and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people today.